Hi everyone, welcome to learning ASP.NET Core. This is Madan. Today I am going to talk about token based authentication by using Jwt in ASP.NET Core MVC application. So for this I am going to create a web application here from this create new project dialog, and normally we use Jwt Token with our web API, but for this demo I am going to create a normal web application. So let's create a normal web application and then let's give it a name of token auth demo, and let's click on create, and it will be the model view controller application, and I'm going to set the authentication to individual user account and then create. So our project has been successfully created. Let's run the project first. So I'm going to open the project in the folder explorer, and then I'm going to open the command from here, and then let's do .NET watch run. So our application server is starting up, and let's try to browse. So we have successfully created a project here. Now in this project I'm going to add couple of things here. First of all, I'm going to create a new model here, and for this demo I'm not going to touch the database, or I'm not going to get the information about the user data stored in the database, but we'll be creating a simple user model and use that. So if we use the same technique for the application that is connected to the database, then we can implement Jwt token for that as well. So let's create a model called user here, and I'm going to add a few properties to the users here. So let's say string of ID, and then say we string of username, and then let's give it another properties here is string of password here. Save this, and then I'm going to create a couple of API controllers here. So let's create a controller, add, and then controller, and then let's create an empty API controller, and let's give it a name of login here, and we'll be using this controller to log in the user from our client application. And for this demo I'll be using the Postman, the application that can be used to call the web API. So let's generate the constructor here, and in this constructor let's pass I configurations, and we're gonna need this configuration later on. So let's generate the backing field for this configuration, and let's give it underscore here, and I'm going to create a method here, public action result login, and this method will be a post method. So we'll be posting the user credential, username and password from our client application, and based on that information we'll be generating the Jwt token. So I'm gonna need to give a from body attribute, since this is a web API call and we have a user model coming from the client application, and in this we're gonna check the hard-coded value here. So if user dot username dot equals admin and user dot password dot equals password, then we are going to return OK, and in this OK result or the response we are going to pass the token here, and let's generate a token here, variable token equal to generate Jwt token, and let's create this Jwt token method, generate Jwt token method, and this Jwt token is a string, so the return type for this will be string. And if user is not logged in, then we'll be returning the bad request, and let's say invalid user here. So in order to save the time, I have already created a code to generate the Jwt token. So let's copy that code and we'll go walk through that code. So let's copy this and then let me paste it here. So first of all, let's bring in the necessary namespaces here. Let's bring in the claims, And then for this we're gonna need to install the NuGet package microsoft.identity.models.token, and I'm going to find and install the latest version here automatically. It is gonna take some time here. Looks like it has been successfully installed here. And then let's see what's wrong with this. Let's leave it now, and then let's install the another NuGet package for Jwt security token here, and this is the system.identitymodel.token.jwt, and let's install the latest version. And it has been successfully installed here. And then in order to generate the Jwt token, we need to pass the information about the user, and let's pass that parameter to this method. Claim types, username, it's username. Okay, so in order to create a Jwt token, we need a couple of things here in our application. We need to provide the issuer of the Jwt token, and then we also need to provide a secret key here for our application. So I'm going to create a Jwt section in our appsetting.json, and then let's create a issuer here. In the issuer, let's say token auth demo, and we need to pass our application. We need to create a specify application secret. Secret will be this is a super secret application key. So you need to specify your own secret application key here, and we should not share this secret key here, and it should not be a plain sentence like this as well from the security point of view. So for the sake of this demo, let's keep things simple here. And then now in order to generate the Jwt token, we need a security key, and that key is the one that we created here, and we need to get this key into our generate token Jwt token method. And for that we are going to use our configuration API that we injected in our controller, and from that we can get the section Jwt section, and inside Jwt there is a secret we want to get. So Jwt secret will get the value of this secret key here, and then we need to encode that to the UTF-8 as required by the Jwt security token generator. And another piece of information that we need is a claims, and the claims is the way to include our user information to the JSON token, Jwt token. So if we want to include the user ID and the username into our Jwt token, then we need to create a array of the claims, and in the array of the claims we need to pass the claim types of name and the value that is coming from our user model. So we are going to include the user ID and the name of the user into our token. And then we need to create a credential here, signing credentials, and for that we need to pass the new symmetric security key, and that key is the one that we created here. And then we can specify the algorithm here, the encryption algorithm. So for this I have specified SHA 256 algorithm, and here are a range of algorithms available here. SHA 256, and so these are the list of algorithms that are available here. So let's use this. After that we need to generate the token here, and in order to generate the token we have a Jwt security token class, and for this we need to pass the configuration. For this Jwt security token, in the constructor of this class we need to pass the issuer of the Jwt token, the audience of the Jwt token, our claims, the claims that we created here, and then the expiry time of the token. So this token will be expiring 7 days from now. And then we need to pass the security credentials, and the credentials is that we created here, credential. After that the NuGet package has a method called Jwt security token handler, and we need to use this class to create the token. So we need to create the instance of this class, and this has a method called write token, and we can pass our token. So this gives us the Jwt token by including the information that is coming into this user here. So whenever the user is logged in, then the token will be created if the user is a valid user, and that token will be passed along with the response to the user, and from the next request they can include that token in order to authenticate themselves. Now our login controller has completed, and now we need to do one more thing in our startup.cs. And for this, also to save the time, I have already written the code here. So let's copy this code from here and then paste it here, and let's bring in the necessary namespaces. So we need to install the package called microsoft.aspnetcore.authentication.jwt bearer for this, and I'm going to install, find and install the latest version here. So in our services.add authentication, we need to pass the option here. We need to pass the option called security. Let's in this add authentication method, we need to pass the option of default authentication scheme as a Jwt bearer defaults, and default challenge scheme as a Jwt default. So this sets our application to use the Jwt authentication, and we need to pass we need to add another options for this to work with the Jwt token, which is .add Jwt bearer, and in this we can pass couple of options here. So we need to pass we can pass the require HTTP to false, or in the production app we should set this to true, and we have a option called save token to true, and then we can pass the token validation parameters, those parameters that validates our token here. So here we have several options available here. So we have a validate issuer signing key and true, and then we have a issuer signing key. The key is that the one that is stored in our app settings.json file, and here we have accessed that by using this key here, key equal to encoding dot. So this one is same as this one here, encoding dot utf8 dot get bytes here, so same one. And then we can pass the valid issuers here. So these are the valid issuers, and whenever our token is coming to authenticate our application, then the issuer that we specify in our token here, that is this issuer, should match with the one that we specified here, and the audience is the second parameter in our signing credential in our Jwt security token, this one. So this value is coming from the token, and in order for this to authenticate, or in order to pass the authentication, that value should match with the valid audiences here. And we can set the option valid issuer to true. So if it is set to true, then the token will be validated against this value here, and we can also set validate audience to true, and that will validate the audience value that is coming from the token against this value here. So this value is coming from our app settings.json, and then we can pass the validate lifetime to true for this token. So this is all we need to do to create our Jwt token, and I'm seeing this error. So let's try to solve this error. I'm going to go to the CS file. So it is not saved here. Let's save it, and let's head back, and let's see if the error has solved or not. And let's bring in the namespace here. So the error from the startup.cs has gone, and let's head over to our login controller, and the error from login controller has also gone. So after that, let's create another API controller here and authorize that controller against the Jwt token. So let's create a API controller, and let's say product, or let's say employee controller. So this is the API controller, and it is accessible through the API / employee name of the controller. And let's create a method called public I action result get, and let's return OK, and then let's pass a employee new array of string here, and then I'll pass a couple of employees here, employee employee 1, employee 2, employee 3. So let's save this, and let's try to browse this API controller without using authentication. So our application is up and running. So our URL is API/controller. So from the browser we can go API/employee, API/employee. It should work, API/employee employee, and it is not working. Let's try to restart the server. And then let's try again. So it has successfully returned the 3 employees that we created. Now let's try to validate, authorize this controller, and then authorize, authorize, and let's bring in the namespace for this authorize here. Save this, and our server is starting up, and let's try to access that API link here. So it gives us the 401 error, that means the user is not authenticated. Now we can access those APIs from this application called Postman here. So here I have, let's make a get request to the employee controller API/employee, the same URL that we are using here, and if I click on the send, then we see the 401 unauthorized access. Now in order to authorize ourselves, we need to get the token here, and in order to get the token we need to call our login controller login method and provide the information about the user, and that is the username should be admin and password should be the password. So now let's use the Postman application to make a request to this login action and then generate the Jwt token here. So let's test our application. So I'm going to open the Postman, and this Postman can be used to make API calls. So this method is the post here, our login method is, and we need to pass the URL here. So https://localhost 5001, and then we have our URL is API/login controller/login method, and we need to specify a header, and we need to pass the content type as application/JSON, and then we need to pass the information about our user model into the body of this. So this is a JSON object, and we need to pass the username as admin, and then we need to pass password here, which is password. And before clicking on send, let's make sure we have properly configured our API controller here. So we have a API/login, and in this login method let's give it a route of login route, and here we have used we have tried to store the ID of the user into the Jwt token, but from the view, that is from the client, the ID of the user is not coming. So let's generate the ID here, and user dot ID equal to, let's generate a new Gwt here, Gwt dot new Gwt dot toString. So this is a unique identifier that is generated for this user. Now let's see if our server has started or not. So it is starting up, it has started up. So let's click on the send. So we are going to make post request, and we are trying to pass our credentials so that they can be used to generate the token, Jwt token. So let's click on send, and we have got a response here, and this is our Jwt token. So let's copy this, and there is a website called jwt.io, and we can use to see what is contained in our Jwt token from this website. So let's remove this, and if I paste my token here, then we can see the information that is stored in our token here. So this is the ID, user ID, that is the globally generated unique identifier GUID, and our username admin here. So we have passed two pieces of information into our token through the claims here, so user ID and the username, and we can verify that from here. So our token is correct, our token has been generated successfully. Now let's try to validate this employee controller using this token. So this is the this controller has been authorized, and no unauthorized user can access that controller resource, So let's try to access that without passing the token here. So our URL is https://localhost 5001/API/employee, and if I click on send, then we see the 401 unauthorized response here. And in order to authorize this, we need to pass our header here. So in the header we can pass authorization, and then in order to pass the token we need a word called bearer, 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 and with the one space we can paste our token here, and then let's click on send. So it has been successfully authorized, and we got the status of 200, and we get the area of the employee from the get resource of this employee API controller. So in this way we can implement Jwt token in our web API in ASP.NET Core. So this is it for now, friend, and if you like this video, then please don't forget to share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.